Top 10 Today's Voice.
Well, I'm the Deputy Secretary General of the Ramsar Convention on Wetlands. I work for its Secretariat, and the Ramsar Convention is the earliest and therefore most experienced of the global environmental conventions. It was signed in 1971, so we're approaching our 40th anniversary next year, and we'll be celebrating it worldwide. And wetlands, of course, provide the lifeblood to people and biodiversity through their provision of water and their handling and management of water. And we know that the reason the convention was first created was in the 1960s, great concern about the loss and deterioration of wetlands. And we know that is still unfortunately happening, despite the very many and big efforts of the governments around the world to implement the convention to look after the wise use and sustainable use of our world's wetlands. They still face many, many pressures. And we know, as we look at what has happened to biodiversity in relation to the 2010 target that was set to reduce the rate of loss, that in many cases losses are still continuing. In some cases we're reducing them, but they're still continuing to be lost. In other cases the losses are accelerating, particularly I think in the Asia-Pacific region. We know why, because there are many, many pressures on the environment around the world for economic development and human livelihoods and water and food security. So I'm here at CBD Corp to support our governments around the world, because of course the parties to the CBD are the same governments as the parties to the Ramsar Convention or to the Migratory Species Convention. And Ramsar works very closely with CBD as its lead implementation partner for wetlands, and that has been the case since 1996. And so we collaborate very closely between the conventions, both at global secretariat level, at scientific and technical advisory panel level, and at national level, to support joint streamlined implementation. And so clearly the challenges parties here are facing to address the continuing loss of biodiversity, which in turn is leading to reductions in the availability of the key benefits the environment provides to people. So through destroying our ecosystems, we are, if you like, cutting our noses off to spite our faces, because we actually depend on ecosystems for our livelihoods. And that's the case not just for biodiversity conservation. It's the case for any sector, of the water sector or the energy sector or whatever. Agriculture depends on the continued provision by ecosystems of water for their business in the future. So our businesses are threatened, whether it's energy, agriculture, fisheries, water or whatever, manufacturing industry, by our continued inattention to maintaining ecosystems so that they continue to help us. That's the challenge I see here in Nagoya for parties to address very strongly in agreeing strong future targets and renewing and redoubling efforts to address the drivers of change to ecosystems.